Oh, my soul, one power, invisible, and you see it, everywhere and every day. One power, indescribable, and you speak of it, everywhere, with every word you say. Mysterious, until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, Spirit, call it Jesus. My soul remembers your voice. When all I hear is frustration and doubt. My soul remember your grace. When the hurt is searing as a desert, still I never go without. My soul, remember. My soul, remember your touch. When my body yearns to be cradled like a child. My soul, remember your strength. When a heavy burden.
Our song of the season is the Joy Chant. I think you all are learning it pretty well. And you might want to stand up and it's a call and response. Except the chorus, which is sung, all of the joy and the love come into my life today. Let's invite it and then affirm it. I wake up and the sun is shining, makes the world look bright, and all of the joy and the love come into my life today. Outside my window, birds are singing with all their might, and all of the the joy and the love come into my life today. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. A spring of healing light is risen within my soul. And all of the joy and the love come into my life today. I now am well, I now am healthy, I am healed and whole. And all of the joy and the love come into my life today. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. My heart is full, my eyes are open, everything is new. And all of the joy and the love come into my life today. There's just one presence, just one power, only love is true. And all of the joy and the love come into my life today. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. Invite it. Come into my life today. Affirm it. Come into my life today. Claim it. Come into my life today. Yeah. Good job.
Good morning. And welcome. Welcome this magnificent spring morning. May this special time together at Unity of Gainesville, Florida be a blessing. Whether you are here in spirit, in person, or online, we are so blessed to be sharing as one mind, one heart, one spirit, this beautiful unity path. So many selflessly offer their time and talents to create this beautiful service. Today, Kathy DeWitt is our musician. Gabe Coleman and Steve Greeno are our AV and stream team. Phyllis Shepard is our board member on duty. And Ann Young is our prayer partner. And our bi-monthly speaker is here, Reverend Betty Martin-Lewis. Today, yay, her talk is entitled, Claim Your Spiritual Power and Fear Will Disappear. I am Rupali Robinson, and I'm simply here guiding the service this morning. Reverend Betty, would you please offer our opening prayer?
So I invite you now just to move slowly into your heart space. Feel that sense of quiet, that place of sanctuary. And feeling our hearts joined in fellowship and love this morning, including all of those out there on Zoom or YouTube. We encircle all of you with love, and we feel your oneness among us here in the sanctuary of Unity of Gainesville. Just let those vibrations of love circulate and wake us up to our spiritual powers, our spiritual potential. And that is why we come here. We are so grateful that we support each other on our various spiritual paths to discover that we are one in God. God is in us, and that we co-create together the life we desire and the life that contributes to the overall rising up in consciousness of humankind. And so, with great love and gratitude, we open this service to learn together, to laugh together, to be in loving service together. Amen. So it is.
Sorry, I was thinking it was Kathy's turn, and it's not. Today, before the end of our service, the next generation Unity will be sharing about their NGU weekend, facilitated by Gabe Holman. So if you're looking around and see any new faces, then perhaps that is some of the youth that were here yesterday during their retreat. And I'll just, yeah. No worries, Shirley, thank you. Yeah. Our last yard day was such a success that we are planning another one this Saturday on April 2nd. Just check out the beautiful pictures in the fellowship hall and see spirit at play because we had a beautiful day and there was lunch provided. So again, if you wish to have the lunch, just sign up with Steve Greeno. He is the person to contact. And as always, if you check our Unity Messenger, the weekly e-blast edited by Sue Henry Young, or the website, unitygainesville.org, you can get more details about that day, as well as ongoing classes and events. Just a sample, Ann Young's Wednesday morning Qigong class, Althea Wright's afternoon Earth Healing Meditation, as well as the LUT Carla Palmer's Spiritual Discussion and Book Group on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. That's just a couple of ideas about what we do during the week, and you are welcome again to check the sources and see this more coming too. Couple of quick acknowledgments. We do have a new railing here, and I want to just give 4 names. The various things they did to contribute to that: Jackie Tatum, Barbara Gordon, Paul Lease, and Steve Greeno. All of them were involved with us just getting a very simple railing here, which has been something we've been envisioning for a while. I also wish to acknowledge all the prayer partners, and especially today Ann Young, for being available before service for a half hour and then available after service for a half hour. Prayer is an essential practice in Unity, so please find Ann over here in this little room, and that little room over here is accessed just by going out to the gathering hall and going past the kitchen, and you'll see a sign on the door. We call it the library, the reading room, whatever, okay? And now Deborah Jackson is going to read our daily word for today.
Good morning, family and friends. The daily word today is divine order. The affirmation is divine order supports my life. The scripture is trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not rely on your own understanding. And that's from Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. Divine order is one of the great truths of life. It provides a foundation for all growth and a blueprint for all manifestation. feeling stuck or bewildered, it's a sign that I am out of step with divine order. I pause, and with compassion for myself, I release thoughts of worry, impatience, and doubt. I remind myself of times when I wondered whether a hoped-for result would ever happen, only to realize in hindsight that foundational aspects had to be in place first. Remembering this helps me be patient and trusting now. I affirm, I cooperate with divine order. It is established in my life now. I listen with mind and heart, trusting that I will discern my path, one step at a time. Divine order supports my life.
This is Janice Stanfield's song, If I Were Brave. A lot of you know it, or at least know some of it, so feel free to sing with whatever part you know. What would I do if I knew that I could not fail? If I believed with the wind always fill up my sail, how far could I go? What could I achieve? Trusting the hero in me. If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread. Never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What if we're all meant to do what we secretly dream? What would you do if you knew you could have anything? Like the mighty oak sleeps in the heart of a sea, are there heroes inside you and me? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread. Never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? If I refuse to listen to the voice of fear, or the voice of courage whisper in my ear. If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge where fools and dreamers dare to tread. Never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? If I were brave, what would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would you do today if you were brave? What would you do today if you were brave? What will you do today? You are so brave. What would you do today? You are so brave. You are so brave. I am so brave. We are so brave.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, and it goes so well with our theme this month, which is letting go of fear. So before I start my talk, I want to just say after service, we're going to have some training of our refreshed, renewed, re-energized, welcoming team. If you're on that team and you're going to stay after, could we see who you are and appreciate you for volunteering? Yay, yay. Okay, thank you. And great. Yeah, good. Okay. And so we acknowledge you and we thank you, and we know that as we continue to refresh, renew, re-energize, we're going to be needing people stepping up to volunteer for all kinds of different possibilities and opportunities to serve. So you'll be hearing a lot more about that in the future. And if I haven't met you yet, I'm Rev Betty Martin-Lewis. I actually live down in the Tampa Bay area, and I'm so grateful to be coming here twice a month to be with you all. And my role is a transition consultant and what is called minister of record, to be with a ministry that is getting ready to hire a more permanent minister down the line. So I'll be here as long as the board wants me to work with you all, and I just appreciate the opportunity, and I'm so impressed with this beautiful ministry and all of you who come to support each other and to come together to, again, the mission being that we're here to support each other on our walk, on our spiritual walk, and learn together and laugh together, enjoy each other's company, and really raise our consciousness together and raise the consciousness of this ministry. So the first quarter of this year, January, February, March, the themes have all been about releasing things in our consciousness, getting rid of the stuff that holds us back from really embracing who we really are as a spiritual being. And so we'll move into next month with some sort of steps that we take then, and we're looking at paradox next month, that interesting concept of paradox, where two seemingly opposites are still part of the one, still part of the oneness. and how that creates confusion sometimes in our human mind, but it's all part of the larger design of things spiritually. So we'll be exploring that for 4 Sundays or 5 Sundays. I forget how many there are next month, but Carla and I will. Yeah, Carla's going to introduce it next Sunday, right? Yeah, no, it is the April next Sunday. Good. Okay, great. So today we're going to talk about claim your spiritual power and fear will disappear. Could you say this? I claim my spiritual power and fear will disappear. I claim my spiritual power and fear will disappear. Ready? I claim my spiritual power and fear will disappear. Do you believe that? Yes. How many of you actually experienced that? Oh, come on. I know you have. Yeah. We got one person in the back, but honestly, I know you have. You have on a lot of the little things and probably on some of the big things of life that you didn't really even recognize in yourself. You have. I want you to remember those moments because I keep saying over and over, we practice our principles, the metaphysical universal principles that help us understand the truth that we are spiritual beings and that we have power beyond our imagination. So the truth works. The truth operates whether we're aware of it or not. So you've probably had some of those experiences. In the past, I have to sit down, and think through my talks and do what I say, is a good practice. And so I started reminiscing. I thought, in the past when I lost something like, my car keys or my phone or maybe some money I misplaced, or one time I lost my whole wallet, I would just go into crazy anxiety and be obsessed until I could find it. How about you? Yeah? That's one of those things, we just, gosh, wow. But it's interesting, as I started doing my inner spiritual work, I realized it wasn't about the thing I was looking for or whatever. It was actually a fear, yes, a fear of loss of something. But when you get right down to it, those things aren't the most important things in our life. And so I realized it was somewhat of a fear of losing control, a fear that I was incompetent. I couldn't keep track of these things. I was out of order in my mind. And so as I kept doing my spiritual practice, this kind of event, this situation affects me less and less and less, just like a little mosquito bite now or a paper cut. So I know that I have been transformed by just relaxing into the flow of divine order and trusting that if I can be in that place of peace, that space of willingness to just go with the flow, things usually show up. And then I actually can hear myself now when that happens. It's happened a few times in the last few months. I mean, I've lost something that I thought was important, or I've fumbled around and can't find a paper that I need for something or whatever. So I hear myself actually, when I become aware that I've lost something, I go, well, either it'll show up or it won't. I hear myself saying that. And if it does, that is great. And if it doesn't, I'm competent. I can deal with this. It's just a thing, an object. It's not my life. And so I finally have put this kind of thing in perspective. And I'm just so grateful. So as we practice in these everyday situations, then we're ready for the big losses in life. And I'm telling you, if I hadn't practiced on those little things, I would have gone through that walk with my husband's passing in a whole different way. I could face the biggest loss in my life with with more moments of peace than I thought I could have. And of course there were moments of terror and just not willingness to let it happen and stuff, but I just was amazed at how I could get it together in a different way. I was a different person. I am transformed because I practice these principles on the little things. And I still got lots of work to do, but you probably have noticed some of that in yourself, that, you know, as we become spiritually mature, as we do that inner work, we see that it works and we want more of it. And your friends around you will see how calm you are in working through things that used to upset you so much, and they wish they had that power. And so thereby you are being a model for others, right? And that's how we, as we practice these powers together, we're actually sending out vibrations that raise up the consciousness of humankind. That's how we're going to heal the world, is by doing our own inner work first. We can't change others. They have to discover for themselves. But it helps if we each could be role models, too, of all these principles we teach. So these are some of my learnings around fear. And I remember going through a period of time where I was just fearful and didn't even know why. And that was probably after my husband passed, and then I had to, you know, find my way again and know who I, you know, just kind of rethink my whole identity. And but at the time I didn't know what I was fearing. It translated into being a super careful, locking all my doors and windows, and I was, you know, I lived in a safe neighborhood, but I transferred that fear on, you know, something else, so I didn't have to admit what it was really about, you know. So understanding our fear and working with it's really, really important. And we can have peace in these times when fear gets churned up in us. And so we teach these universal principles of Jesus' teachings. And we can look to Jesus for some models of how that works out. You know, could you take a peaceful nap on an open little boat in a very torrential storm like he did in the story that his disciples told about him napping away while they were all terrified of the waves of the storm in the boat? Could you comfort others and hold fast to your own truth when you know that you are going to be hunted down and persecuted and tortured and eventually killed and executed because of your beliefs? And yet he was comforting his disciples about those times when everything just looked totally out of sorts in that world of his. And we've got some parallels with those times today. And can you release the fear of mortal death, which we will all face? The death of our human form, we'll face that. And he eventually did. But he also experienced, I'm sure, some fear in some of those moments also. But his high consciousness made that possible. He didn't allow fear to just take a grip. He might have felt it for a bit, and that is the process. Once you start practicing facing your fear and then working through it, then you catch it sooner, you understand what's going on, and then you move through it sooner so that fear cannot take a hold of your whole consciousness. And so he walked through it with the guidance of the Christ self within him. And you know, we have that same Christ self in us. When we talk about the Christ self, we're talking about the higher consciousness, the universal self, the spiritual self of us. It's the same self that was in Jesus. That's powerful when we think about it. And that can make us brave. That can make us bold. If we realize that's who we are. So I want you to keep testing that out. Find your spiritual powers. Claim that in you is this higher self that can guide you in any circumstance. The president, Franklin D. Roosevelt, back during the time of the Great Depression, said to the people of the United States, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Fear itself. And we got some rocky times going on here. But if we get caught up in fear, if we're constantly looking at negative media and just letting that take hold of us, then we just produce more in kind, right? We know that. Where our attention and energy goes, so goes the direction of our lives. We want more peace, then we must practice peace. We want more love, we must practice love. So we want to watch this victim mentality, which is a consciousness of negativity, and it just keeps attracting more and more and more fear. Have you heard of the flying Wallendas? You ever hear of the flying Wallendas? You know, I live down in the Tampa area and in the Sarasota areas where all the circus people have retired. In my area, it's the carnival people who all retired in our area. So I grew up, this is just an aside, but you know, we had, in the days I grew up, what they used to call the freak shows, and I'm glad that's just no longer acceptable. But I grew up, you know, with neighbors who were bearded ladies, and one guy that blew himself up in a coffin with TNT, and contortionists and acrobats, and you know, we had 2 giants in town. I've probably described that before. Anyway, so it was quite an interesting world. So the circus, too, is very interesting to me. And the Wallendas were a group of aerialists who would get up on the high wire in the tents. And they had this amazing act where they did 3 tiers of people, you know. So they're walking a tightrope, and they've got 2 or 3 or 4 cousins at the bottom of the tightrope. Then they have then they shoulder some kind of platform where they seat 2 people on chairs or something on the top of them. And then on top of them is another person or 2 up there. 3 tiers of people, and they're walking this whole thing with 7 people across the tightrope. Well, this was part of their family act for years and years and years and years. So I think in the 1930s or 40s, they fell. And they got the name the Flying Wallendas because as they fell off, they looked like they were floating or something. So somebody wrote an article about them, calling them the Flying Wallendas. Well, nobody died in that accident. Several years later, they had another accident, same act. Nobody in the world was doing it but them. And 2 of their members died. And then a few years later, they did it again and lost 4 of their family. So these were all family members because they were training each other to do it, you know, several generations. Well, further down the road, Carl Wallenda, and then after they lost the 4, they stopped that 7-tier, you know, triangle thing. But Carl Wallenda was one of the family who would do the tight wire or tightrope act across. He'd go to different cities and string the wire and walk across it. And he was in San Juan, Puerto Rico. He was going to walk across a particular area in the village or in the city there. And he prepared for this for months, you know, getting focused. He fell and died. And his wife was interviewed later, and she said, you know what? He walked that wire for all his life, and this is the first time I noticed for about 3 months before the actual program, before he did it, he was obsessed with falling. That's all he could think about was not falling. Don't want to fall. And he would check his equipment, and she said it was not even like him to go out, and the day they strung the wire, he was inspecting it, and usually he would rely on whoever was doing it to do it, because his focus had to be on walking successfully across the wire. This time, he couldn't get focused. He couldn't get centered. He was afraid of falling, and he did. So to me, that's evidence of this principle of letting go of fear in our consciousness, working on that so that we can identify it and admit it. That's one of the problems too in our society. It's not even acceptable to admit fear, right? It looks weak. And especially you men. I see some men nodding, so yeah, you're not supposed to look weak. How dare you look weak? Wow. And you know what? I didn't think I was going to tell this story, but I'm sorry that was one thing I was so proud of my husband, that he would show me his vulnerability. So, you men need to hear this, that there's a power in vulnerability, an authentic vulnerability. And one time, Tommy and I were walking down a little path in the back. We lived in California at the time, and the most vicious dog I'd ever seen in my life was about ready to jump over a fence and attack us. And he was just, like seething. You could see his big teeth. He was a big dog, and he was clearly as high or a little higher. We could see his head up over the fence, and we knew that he had a lot of power, that he could probably jump that fence at any time and get at us, And I saw my husband back off, and he showed fear. And the first thought that went through my mind was, so I'm going to protect us, or something like that. It was stupid, but it only lasted a minute. And I thought, why is that necessarily so? That's just a role given to men and women in society. And I was really touched, and he protected me in many ways, believe me. But at that moment, I was proud of him, that he just was in his authentic nature. He was afraid of that dog. And so I just stood there looking at the dog, because I had read, you don't run. It's like the bear we talked about last time I was here. You run from a bear, they're going to chase you. That's food, and they understand that. You don't run from a dog either if they're on the attack, right? And I just froze, and we froze. But that was a tender moment in our marriage, and we talked about it, that just these silly roles about what is man, what is woman, and men should be always strong, and women be the weak women who need protected. That's the old story that's been made up by our society. So a lot of our fears are out of what we have been conditioned to in this society. And so we can change things, and things are changing even when we don't, maybe not comfortable with them changing, about roles right now. So that's also shifting and happening. So all of that's going on. But the idea I want to really leave you with is that you are stronger than you know you are. You are more powerful beyond your imagination. And the Apostle Paul said, you have not received a spirit that makes you fearful slaves. We imprison ourselves when we accept fear and let it take up a home in our consciousness. We're not slaves to fear. He said, instead, you have received God's Spirit. So know that you can overcome fear, and keep practicing on those small, small things. And again, I leave you with a reading from the scripture of John, which is what Jesus is said to have left with his disciples as he was preparing them, that he would go away and they would need to take up the responsibility of teaching and move forward to create the teachings that he wanted to leave on the earth. And he said, the peace I leave with you, my peace I give you, not as the world gives do I give, but let not your hearts be troubled. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. So we walk out brave, bold, and claiming our spiritual power. And so it is. And so now Kathy's going to lead us into meditation.
This song by Karen Drucker and Faith Rivera and David Roth is just so perfect for everything you said. It's a great thing to think about, called surrender. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instincts and let Spirit be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and true and free. As I continue walking in this mystery, there may be walls, there may be roadblocks in my way, but I can choose to take a higher path each day. And now I know that what I thought was safe and sound was only habit and regret that held me down. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am stronger every moment, every day. I am grateful every moment, every day. And I am kinder every moment, every day.
And so we just continue now in this beautiful space of peace and love, relaxing in the sanctuary of our hearts. And let's set the intention now to discover the truth of who we are, the amazing strength and power, faith and love that is in us, that is our spiritual power. We claim these powers, and we claim the power of imagination. We claim the power of understanding. We claim the power of wisdom to always lead us in the higher way. We claim the power of divine will and order and zeal. We claim the power to eliminate that which creates obstacles in our life. And we claim the power of life. We are filled with beautiful life energy. We feel it coursing through our body right now. Get in touch with that life force that unites us all and that moves us to do what is ours to do on this earth. And so see yourself now in your mind's eye. Hold an image of yourself claiming these powers, moving out into the world now to do what is yours to do, to spread love and kindness everywhere you go, to release any worry or fear. Don't sweat the small stuff. We let it go. And most of all, every day, we love ourselves. We treat ourselves as we would treat others. And so let's embrace all of this wisdom this morning, this truth that comes from the great divine mystery of life and the universe and all that is, was, or ever will be. That which is universal within us. God, good, omnipotence, all powerful, all wise. We are all one in this amazing, amazing cosmos. So we give thanks and we go forth now renewed and refreshed, ready for a beautiful day and holding our spiritual powers, expressing them through us this coming week. Amen, amen, and it is so.
We give where we are spiritually fed. And today, I also want to notice that we have some newcomer faces in our audience. And our prayer practitioner, Ann, would like to simply give you a welcoming packet. So, Shirley, would you just have your people just raise their hand if you're just here for the very first time? How wonderful, our grandchildren, yay.
Anybody
And
else?
I see some other, what we call Gabe's group. So would you please also recognize yourselves? We have Sue Lady, Yanellis. I saw Dan. Matt, sorry. And
There's two people, there's two women.
okay. So at this point, we're looking to do the offertory, and we always wish to acknowledge our newcomers. What we give, we receive, multiplied. For indeed, it circulates. So whatever we offer as a tithe or contribution will come back to us in so many ways, adding to our good and the good of those around us. So let's please take the offering in our hand and place it on our heart and say after me, divine love expresses in me, through me, as me, blessing and multiplying all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. If you are on Zoom or Facebook or YouTube, please give electronically at the website unitygainesville.org. And now, Gabe, if you would come forward, and perhaps you're going to bring forward some of the people in the retreat as well. This group of the youth had a retreat this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I want to honor all those of you who brought food to support them. The food came from the elders and the adults in the church so that they had meals throughout the 3-day weekend. So if you would please come forward. Come on. Come on, Matt. Come on.
I just want to thank everyone for the support. We had a really amazing weekend. So anyway, if anyone wants to share anything about the retreat.
Okay. Okay. So I experienced a lot of realization, learning, connection with the group of people that were around me. Very open, very honest, very loving, and very respectful. Never felt judged to be who I am and learn who I want to be and grow. And I feel like I could grow with this group. And I'm always appreciative for everything that they give me, whether it's guidance or love or just affection.
I was invited, and I was very surprised and happy to be in the group. Everybody was very kind and open and very accepting and very generous in their love and their kindness, and it was incredibly refreshing, especially in these times.
I always love to be a part of this group. There's nothing but love and acceptance and all that I find under Corinthians 13. Just patience and kindness, never any kind of judgment. So this is always a safe place for me. And just being able to experience it with any kind of frequency, whether on a weekly basis or monthly, is a refresher and a reminder of what life truly has to offer, despite all the distractions that cause stress or anxiety. So it's always something that I can and should always make time for, and I will.
We had a few others that were here, but they're probably sleeping in right now. So you'll have to. Oh yes, this is Sue Lady, Elise, and Matt. That's.
Kids are waiting to come in too. There's children waiting to come in too.
Okay, children, if we would just stand, we're enjoying the spontaneity out of ordinance of life in this moment. And just let's bring the children in.
Yeah, let's bring the children in. They're waiting.
That's what I was waiting for.
I want you to meet my new friend Elizabeth. She's come all the way from Michigan. And I learned all about ice hockey today. And our theme today was joy, pure joy. And we read the story about the shepherd watching the sheep, and it was a Christmas story. And it was kind of strange to have a Christmas story in March, but it really taught us about what true joy really is when he saw the baby Jesus. And so we made birds that we can fly. And we were just about to play the cootie game. You remember cootie? We only got, one leg, I think, was all we built. But we were talking about joy. And we hope Elizabeth will come back and bring her parents and her great-grandmother soon.
And so we rub our hands together and we begin. Children, and that means our adult children here too. And we are the child, so it's all of us. Children, we love you.
We love you.
We bless you.
We bless you.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
And we see you doing wondrous things in the world.
We see you doing wondrous things in the world.
We love you. We love you. We really, really love you. All right.
Community of Gainesville, we love you, we bless you, and we truly appreciate you, and we behold Christ in you.
Yay.
Thank you.
And now if you would just simply go out to the parameters and create a circle. Kathy will be doing the peace song, and then we will speak the prayer of protection.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God washes over us. Wherever we are, God is. All is well. Woohoo!